Let's talk for a minute about closing costs. Closing costs are the expenses that you pay when you buy a home that are outside of like the price of the home. Well, Wikipedia says, so what do we mean by closing? The closing is the time when the title is conveyed from the seller to the buyer. Closing costs can be charged to either the buyer or the seller, so it's not just one or the other. You can have both. It would be helpful if I told you some examples. First, attorney fees. So attorneys don't come cheap, but they help a lot in the transaction process of selling your home or buying a home. The seller and the buyer can be represented by an attorney, especially in commercial sales and buying. You're gonna want a lawyer and you're gonna have to pay a lot to get him or her. Another cost is the title company costs. Title companies will help you make sure that when you buy the deed to the property that everything looks good. Common things that are part of this are like a title search and title insurance. There are things called recording costs, which is charged by the government to make the change of property like official and recognized by the government. Sometimes if the lines of the property aren't super well defined, you'll have to pay like a survey fee. Another really common one is the broker's commission. So the people that helped you find the property and were there with you the whole time, like the real estate agents, they're gonna want a piece of that. Typically, the broker's commission is gonna be your most expensive part of the closing costs. One of the very first closing costs you'll pay is the mortgage application fee. So when you get a loan taken out from a mortgage lender, they're gonna have to put some work in to make that mortgage, and they're gonna want some payment for that. There are things called points, which is the buyer paying the seller early to pay off some interest. And you'll have an appraisal fee, which is a person will go out to check the property to see if it's actually worth what you're trying to get a mortgage for. There usually are inspection fees. After you've got the property that you think you want, you'll hire someone to go check it out and make sure that everything is in good working order. And if it's not, then you can renegotiate the price of the house. You can also get home warranties, which is either purchased by the buyer or the seller, but it just helps you have a more comfortable feeling of when you get to your home that you're kind of more protected. Another one is private mortgage insurance. If you're buying a house and you don't have a lot of money to initially give to the house, or you don't have a big down payment, they'll oftentimes charge you a private mortgage insurance to kind of protect the lender since they're taking a risk since you're not putting a lot of money in. Sometimes you'll get prepaid homeowners property insurance. So that takes care of something like if you have fire or some kind of a hazard within the first couple months before you've really started paying insurance. There are 3 types of pro rata costs. They are property taxes, homeowner association dues or HOA dues, and interest. Now that's a lot of costs. So how are you gonna keep it all straight? There is a document that the states require called a HUD document or a HUD-1. And this is basically the summary of all the costs that you're gonna pay when you're buying a home, like just everything that you're gonna end up paying. So you can look for a HUD-1 in order to keep track of all your very many expenses. But you're on the right track, so keep going.